Welcome to the Iferia TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Melinda Colon. Melinda is a business growth strategist and government contract expert who has helped clients secure over 4.4 billion in awarded contracts. She has developed a proprietary system that transforms the complex world of government procurement into a predictable, scalable revenue stream for businesses. Her work focuses on helping tech companies and entrepreneurs build stable, recession-proof operations and significantly increase their company's valuation. In this episode, we'll break down her systematic approach to winning government contracts and how it can create a foundation for sustainable growth. So, Melinda, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Welcome to the Iferia TechCast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm just really happy to be here.
All right, so let's get started. Your track record is staggering. Over $4.4 billion in awarded
Yes.
contracts with a
Yeah.
74% win rate. So what was the initial spark that made you see government contracting not as a bureaucratic nightmare, but as a predictable, scalable revenue engine for businesses?
I wouldn't say that it's not a bureaucratic nightmare. A little bit of it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Okay.
There's a lot of drama, if you will, but at the end of the day, these are opportunities that the contracts are opportunities that are going to come regardless of whatever is happening out on the media. So, how I got into government contracting, actually, I was in corporate America, and that was my job. I was marketing business development for government contracts. And just kind of built an entire career as a specialist and, and crafted my own signature system that I now utilize to help other companies win government contracts. And that's the 4.4 billion. Just recently, we got updated to 5.79 billion
Wow.
this year. So super excited because one of my goals as a business, as a company, is to get to and cross the 15 billions by 2030. And it's not just a number, it is really an outlet. It's an opportunity to be a part of something bigger, to take a business and impact the world and create opportunities to create impact, to create jobs, to really just change things and just tap into our own brilliance as business owners.
All right. Could you tell us about what you call the GovCon Sales Strategy? So what is it about?
Yeah. So the GovCon Sales Strategy is our proprietary system to unlock these billions of dollars for our clients. And at the end of the day, and you nailed it, it's bureaucracy, it's a lot of paperwork, it's red tape. It just feels very overwhelming for many business owners who want to win contracts. And where to even start, what to do first and then next, and how to respond to opportunities to win these contracts. Well, this is why I developed the GovCon Sales Strategy. It's not just a roadmap in a simplified system. It really is an accelerator. So how it works is it starts out with step number one, prepare. So step number one, prepare is, even the most wealthiest people in the world, they say prepare with the end in mind. You always want to start with where the vision is going to take you. So,
Mm.
instead of thinking, well, we're just going to win one contract, I just want to make sure that it works. Maybe it'll just work for me. Instead, think like a CEO, think like a wealthy business owner who's actually accomplished quite a bit in their career and they're wanting to leverage their God given talents to acquire contracts to stabilize their revenue. So, step number one is what do you want to sell? Like, what do you actually want to sell? Now, what's really powerful about number one, prepare, is that it requires and it just forces you to have focus. It's like one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they go into government contracting thinking, what can I sell to the government? That's the wrong question. That's the wrong mindset, and it's a very limited mindset to think like that. The right mindset, the more pro-level mindset, is what do I want to sell to the government? So what services do you offer? What do you do in your technology company? What are your IT softwares? What can you build? Where do you feel like your value from your business is going to actually make an impact in how the agencies, those government agencies function? Step number two is to target. Target is about, there are 90,000 government buyers just in the United States alone. And then you add in, Africa, different countries in Nigeria, and then across the world in Canada, UK, just Mexico, China, Germany, there are contracts everywhere. So instead of thinking, well, I can just sell to whatever contract is available, be more strategic. Who do you actually want to work with? What's going to be the right alignment to your growth of your business? How often are they actually buying what you sell? And actually, what is their budget for buying what you sell? But that's a really big question, because if you're reliant on adding a revenue stream to your business, you want to know how often they're going to be buying what you sell so that you could predict what your revenue is going to be long term. So step number three is strategize. Once we have a focus, we know our clients and what they're going to buy from us. We want to know what our positioning is. So whether that's prime or subcontracting. So the difference between prime and subcontracting is that prime, you're responsible for the contract, 100%. Delivery of the contract and everything in between, which can be a really good thing. However, there's a downside to it because prime contracting, you are responsible for everything. That if you are not prepared to deliver, you're not really sure, you're not confident in how to deliver, then this could be where you actually fall off. So we don't want to go in not clear and confident how to deliver. If you've been in business for several years, then you already have confidence in how you deliver. So that's not a problem. Prime is great positioning for you. However, if you're starting out in business, I highly, highly recommend that you become a subcontractor. Not only will you increase your win rate or the amount of contracts that you can win, but you also build partnerships. You see how other companies are responding. And then you actually have almost, if you think about it, on the job training, if you will. So these are two great positioning. And then there's, more of an advanced strategy. If you've been in government contracting for a while, you've built relationships with agencies, then you might want to utilize joint ventures, which is one of the best ways to position value, where two primes come together, they partner with each other, and they deliver on exactly what the client wants. It just becomes really quite simple and straightforward from there. But once you have your positioning, now we move on to submitting a proposal, a fee, a price, and you want to know how to do that thoughtfully and strategically so that you can actually make money and you get selected, right? You don't want to just
Yeah.
copy and paste something together. You want to make sure that it's something that people want to respond to and that you're going to get a high score and be awarded. And then on the price side, well, just because you get awarded the contract doesn't mean you're going to enjoy delivering on the contract if you don't price properly. See, one of the myths that people believe is that I have to be the cheapest. I have to be the lowest one, the lowest bidder. And that is often not true, especially if you are a service-based business. As a service-based business, you provide more than a product. You provide an experience. And so think about what your margins need to be for delivering the level of excellence that you plan on delivering. Even if you don't get awarded the contract, that's good because at least you stand your ground on your pricing. So if you do get awarded the contract, and that's great because now you stuck to your pricing and you can get what you want to get in terms of what the contract value is. Last step, track. I can't think of many people who like just failure, Ezekiel. Like there's, usually when we fail at something, it's just like we don't want to go back and look at the remnants, right? We just want to walk away. We want to just ignore it. But here's what's really interesting in life. Our failures showcase where our success lies because it's the
Yeah.
law of probability. The law of probability says is that if you fail once, you will eventually succeed because you will just eliminate all the ways not to win. So that's step number 5 is to eliminate the ways not to win. Now, if you're using my system and I go deeper into this during my virtual events and my in-person workshops, but when you apply the system, you're going to be able to leverage our win rate of 74%, while the industry is doing, here in the US, it's anywhere between 12 and 22%. So just with a system, you're way ahead of most people. And that means that less opportunities for you to fail and more opportunities for you to succeed.
Okay, that was indeed a fantastic, elaborate, and very insightful response, Melinda. You talk about making a business recession-proof. So how does a government contract actually do that? Is it the long-term nature of the deals or the payment reliability or something else that creates that stability?
So contracts are recession proof by law. It's not something that we as vendors or suppliers do. It's actually set up within the system. Where it comes from, what government contracts come from, is a way for the government to stimulate the economy. So this is just one way. Here in the United States, 72% of businesses are small businesses, meaning that all of these dollars, 72% of dollars in the United States that are circulating through small business owners. So what the government instills is an opportunity for us to participate in keeping our economy healthy. And the contracts are going to come regardless. So this is where the recession proof is. The last thing that they want to do is have an issue with our economy. It turns into a deficit. It turns into a depression. And history has shown us that if there isn't a participation with small businesses, the government actually does not succeed. It fails. We've seen this in the United Kingdom, in the other countries and continents. So what we're doing here in the United States is we're really focusing on building those relationships so that we can keep the economy healthy. And it's across the world. In Africa and specifically in Nigeria, there's tons of government contracts, right? There's
Yeah.
areas of, you've seen them like multifamily, there's office buildings, there's hospitals going up. And so these are builders that some of them are coming from the US and doing business in Nigeria, vice versa. It's just to help the local economy do better and bring more jobs, bring a better life for everyone, which ultimately is the recession proof that it creates.
So what does the tech stack for winning government contracts look like? So is it about specific software, a database, or is it more of a strategic framework for how you position a company?
It's more about the strategy, especially when it comes to IT software. I know there are contracts that are awarded to build the software, and I know there are contracts to buy a pre-built software. So it all depends on what they're asking for.
Okay, so for a small but highly technical team with limited resources, so what is the most common and costly mistake they make in their first proposal that immediately gets them disqualified?
talking about something that they're experts in. So let me explain. Your government buyer, when you get the RFP or you're responding to a bid, they're not experts at what you do. So to talk to them like they're experts is a very bad thing. What you
Wow.
want to do is understand what they need and show them the solution in a simplified, straightforward format. So I like guiding my clients through creating their own framework or just kind of revealing what they consider a framework and communicating the value of what they do in that format. So instead of talking about how all the details and the ingredients and just all the formulas and none of that matters. What matters is answering their questions in for specifically someone who more than likely has no idea what you do. So this is really important and teaching them along the way in the proposal how or why it's important. Yeah. Biggest mistake that I see, especially on the IT side.
Okay, that's really insightful. So, looking at the future, Melinda, what emerging sectors in technology or innovation would you say the government is most eager to buy from right now?
Mm,
That many private sector founders might not really be aware of at the moment.
yeah. That's a really good question because, everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah.
The downside is that AI typically, I mean, we've noticed that AI moves really fast, and the iterations are coming through really fast. Normally and usually, government is very slow. So typically, what's happening, or right now, what's happening is that the government is trying to catch up with what's going on right now. So this is why I go back to education is primarily the number one service that you can offer government because they don't know what they don't know. That's one. The second thing would be any way to integrate systems. See, you know, when a government contract comes around, it's usually siloed within that agency. So for example, the Department of Defense and the Veteran Affairs, they're not talking to each other. They're just solving problems based off their mission and their goals. So if you can articulate how there could be a communication between the two or between throughout all federal, throughout state and local, that will benefit them and how to do that and where there's going to be the ups and the downs and just really explaining to them. And again, going back to education, that's going to be the most powerful thing that you can do. But what I'm seeing in real time when it comes to IT and software right now, in terms of contracts, is a lot of infrastructure improvements. They have a system, they have a process in place, they have multiple softwares and programs, and they're trying to figure out how to basically make them talk to each other and work better together. So that's the number one request that I'm seeing across the board. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon just because of the speed of AI and how quickly this is evolving.
All right, all right. So you have managed several proposals. So what would you say separates a good proposal from a winning proposal?
I have managed thousands of proposals.
Wow.
Yes, yes, been doing this for a while. So quite
Mm,
a while. So what I see, the mistakes that I see that people make quite often is they don't make their proposal about the person reading it. They want to use the proposal as a way to showcase how amazing they are, how many awards they won, how many articles they wrote, white papers. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you could provide a solution to the problem that they're asking you to solve and backing it up in showcasing that you've done it before, especially for software and IT. So it comes down to if they're asking for a new CRM system to be custom built for them, for their agency that's 310 people, right? It's 310 users. Well, if your past performance or your experience has limitations, like you only did a CRM, but it was actually a white label, and it's hard to show that and make it seem like you actually have the experience, even though you might. But not knowing how to talk about it is so important. So, what do I mean by this? I was talking to a friend of mine, and also a client. He's a friend and a client, and he runs a solar business. And he said to me, Melinda, I've done churches, I've done schools, I've done houses, like residences. How do I win government contract? I said, don't talk about the schools and the houses and the residences. You talk about the linear feet, the amount of equipment that you've installed. You talk about the actual infrastructure of the system. And even though they were for a different type of client, you want to emphasize on what you actually delivered. And that's how you create past performance properly. So if you're thinking to yourself, you need to have government experience to win a government contract, technically you don't. You just need to have experience delivering on what they're asking for.
Tell us, what does the word innovation truly mean to you, and how does it relate to what you do?
I think innovation is something that was God given. It's innovation is it's the creativity that we have as visionaries to create something new. And sometimes it's an iteration of what existed before, but a better version of it, an improved version of it. Or it could be something revolutionary where it just fits the era. Like AI, it was used, but not commercially. And all the way through from what's like the 70s, AI was used in just on the public sector privately, ironically, but now it's commercialized and everyone has access to AI. AI was as a new idea. It was an innovative idea in the 70s. What if we could create a chip that would be able to iterate our ideas and solutions, and this, that, and the other? So it comes from a how question, and then it just develops into something that impacts other people's lives. So I believe innovation is one of the most powerful ways that we can articulate our creativity and really just please God for just giving us life and showcasing that we have the power within us to do great things.
Melinda, for our listeners who are interested in this conversation we just had, and they want to learn more about GovCon revenue, so where can they go to find your toolkits and resources, or perhaps just contact you to further this conversation?
All they'll need to do is go to govscaleinsidermasterclass.com. And I'll go ahead and give you the link, Ezekiel, to make it easier to in your show notes. But you go straight there, you'll be able to register for our upcoming virtual event. And that way I can guide you through the process, the GovCon sales process, so that you have a custom fit plan to win contracts for your business.
All right, Melinda, please do share the links so I can also add them to my show notes. So it's been an interesting and insightful conversation with you, and I am indeed excited to have you on the show today.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for letting me come on.